We welcome you back now to some breaking news. SkyCal over yet another police chase, again in Orange County, starting there, this time involving Anaheim police. Let's check in with Mike on the
News
desk.
helicopters
Mike,
following it all.
Susie, so first of all, I want you to notice the intense
overhead
amount
of the police chase. The driver,
truck. It is a Chevy Silverado that Anaheim Police Department is
armed with a
chasing.
weapon.
Initial
The
information that we
driver
have is they're calling this a 245, which is an assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. So
the driver
we're working to
continues on the
exactly
freeway
what that means. We've got
at
some calls
speeds
on the
at
Anaheim
60, 70 miles an hour.
Marvin, who's in the chopper, is going to work to see if we can get a hold of
driver,
Anaheim's chopper to see if they'll share any of those
Chevy
details
Silverado
with us.
pickup
But
truck
again, assault
trying
with
to
a
get
deadly
away from
weapon
police.
on
Not
a
gonna
big
happen.
rig. We
The
don't know
driver
exactly when that occurred,
keeps
how
going
that
at
occurred.
Dunted at
Obviously, though,
80
you see
miles
by
an
the sheer
hour.
number of Anaheim police
Hitting the
vehicles that are
floor
down there.
pedal
They're
at 80
taking
miles
this
an
very
hour.
seriously.
The driver
We are eastbound on the 91 freeway. Briefly came westbound into LA County, and then he got off the freeway almost in the La Palma, Cerritos area, turned around and came back eastbound on the 91. We're approaching the 57 freeway right now as SkyCal is just about catching up and getting overhead. Susie, there are a lot of law enforcement eyes on this, not only on the ground, but in the sky. You've got Angel, that's Anaheim Police helicopter. You've got CHP's helicopter and CHP's fixed wing are all overhead. Now, I don't know if that means there's more than one person in the car, so they want to have extra eyes in the air. Regardless, though, you've got a lot of eyes on this, both on the ground and in the air.
This is not typical for what we see in terms of police agencies doing chases like this. They don't go really this heavy with the police presence, but it looks like we are seeing that. And for whatever reason that might be, it's unclear. But as Mike was talking about, the want here is an assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. Now, does that mean that they used the car possibly as that weapon and somehow, but it doesn't look damaged?
It doesn't, and we'll get a better idea as we're exiting the freeway here at State College. We'll get a better idea once we get overhead. I will tell you, we're working to confirm this information. It doesn't sound like the vehicle was the deadly weapon. We usually hear that, right? We usually hear that the vehicle, especially when it's like on an officer or something, it's usually the vehicle.
But on a big rig?
But on a, and we have not clarified that, but the very initial information that we've heard would indicate to us that there was an actual weapon used, not the vehicle. You can see the vehicle doesn't have any damage. To your point, Susie, both headlights appear to be working. I don't see any obvious signs of damage to the truck there on the front end, as we are now on Surface Street, State College in Orange Thorpe. We're north of the 91 freeway here, so we're in like the Fullerton, Placentia area.
North Orange County. Sure.
Yeah, North Orange County. And that's Anaheim PD. By the way, Anaheim PD did not want CHP to take over. Even though CHP is there helping out in the air, Anaheim PD wanted to hang on to this chase, likely because of what the want is. And so we'll work on getting, again, some of those details here from the Anaheim Police Department as soon as we can.
Yeah, but it is very curious to see why they are running like this from police, if it is what we think it is. I mean, in terms of assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig, you wonder, what happened? Was it against someone in that big rig? What were the circumstances? We're trying to clear that up right now.
Right.
But as far as we know, they are going upwards of 60 miles. I mean, on surface streets right now through the city of, we believe this is northern Anaheim and Fullerton.
Yeah, we're kind of butting up, Susie, to the 57 rather.
Okay.
So we're going to go under the 57 freeway here in just a second.
Yeah, and so, there's a lot of traffic out there, obviously, on the streets. And it looks like police are still right behind him. If we can widen that shot for us, Marvin. Yeah, it looks like they still have units behind them. And, it's curious to see what they're going to do. Will they try a pit maneuver on the street like this? I mean, they've got to have a clear path. No cars coming either direction in case that car, turns around at a rate that they don't want it to. So really interesting to see, how this will come to an end. Again, the want is assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig, but, it's unclear what the circumstances were. So we'd love to see, at the end of this and hopefully pull this person over, but it looks like they're not complying, and we have a whole slew of police officers behind this person chasing them on surface streets. They're not driving recklessly. We haven't seen them driving recklessly. As we've seen this week, a lot of that's for sure, on surface streets, no less. But it looks like, Mike, they're just, driving a little faster than speed limits, obviously, but not recklessly.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely trying to get away. But as you mentioned, Susie, not in like a in a crazy type of fashion here. But Anaheim PD, first of all, we're in Orange County. Orange County, as we know, chases harder than some of the other agencies, especially up in LA County. So they're not, as we go through that red light there, they're not likely to give this up, go into tracking, do anything like that. They're gonna hang on to this because of the nature of the want. And again, it's interesting to see, that the big rig was the one that's involved. We're now southbound Kramer. The next we turned off was Orange Thorpe rather. We're gonna come back up to the 91 91 freeway here in just a second. So we'll see if he gets back on the 91. And we're again, still kind of working to figure out where this started exactly, but it is Anaheim, right? And we're kind of now circling Anaheim as we come back towards the south. So we'll see if he gets back on the 91, which is where he has been up and down, or actually left and right, east and west on the 91. Getting off into LA County there for a second almost, and then turning back around and coming back here on the 91 freeway. Again, lots of those police officers behind him, and I believe we are we back on the freeway? I believe we are back on the freeway now.
Looks like it.
So yeah, so that's exactly, and I think we are westbound on the 91 freeway.
Westbound on the 91 freeway, the Anaheim Police Department in chase, even on the freeway there, and they've been this entire time, the CHP helping with their chopper and their fixed wing tonight. But as far as the ground units go, it has been the Anaheim Police Department. They are actually refusing the help from CHP tonight because, as Mike mentioned, they want to stay on this, and for whatever reason that might be, probably the want in all of this, being assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. It looks like they want to stick with it. And as they pick up speeds here on the freeway, again, we haven't seen any reckless driving, but that is so far. We're hoping that stays that way, but they are picking up speeds here, going almost 90 miles per hour now on the 91 West. And it started in the Orange County area in Anaheim. As far as we know, this is a white Chevy Silverado that police are chasing tonight. Again, the Anaheim Police Department chasing this car and not the CHP. The CHP above with their chopper and their fixed wing. But they've been through different areas of Orange County, North Orange County, as far as we know. Anaheim and Fullerton area, and they got back on the 91 freeway. This is actually, I believe, the third time they've been on the 91, Mike.
Which is kind of, indicative of they don't really know where they want to go. Right. I mean, if you just are on and off the freeway the whole time, that's, you're not, it's interesting because geographically they don't seem to want to get very far away from North Orange County. And we're exiting here. And so this is, let's see, what major is this? This is going to be, I think, State College.
Yeah, and you wonder why they do this, right? Why do they keep doing this where they get off surface streets, maybe hoping to lose police, but you would think because they have to drive slower and go through intersections like this that they wouldn't do that. They would keep on the freeway and keep going. But as to speak to what Mike was just talking about, maybe the fact that they do want to stay in the area because they are familiar with this area. It did, we believe, start in the Anaheim area. That's why Anaheim police are in chase right now. But it's unclear. Yeah, they've been running multiple red lights and police right behind them. I wonder if we can pull the shot out one more time, Marvin, and just show us how many units are still on the ground behind this thing, because earlier
lots of police presence following a pickup truck.
It looks like they are, okay, there's more than one, but spread out more than
news helicopters and police helicopters overhead.
12 weeks, 3 months. That's how long it takes to see new hair growing in places where it no longer.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because everyone's just catching up. And I want to point out, Susie, that truck, and Marvin, if you can go back to the right just a little bit. I know we're going to lose the vehicle here for just a quick second, but there is also an unmarked police truck right there. So you see that pickup truck? That is a police vehicle, but it is clearly unmarked. So you've also got potentially detectives involved in this now, too. The other thing, Susie, that we won't know until we know is if this was a fresh incident, right? Did this happen today? This assault with a deadly weapon, did this just happen? Is this a situation where they were surveilling this guy?
Was it an investigation?
Right. And so we don't know all those details. We've not been able to get a hold of the Anaheim Police Department. We're texting, calling, leaving voicemails, all of that. But you imagine they're busy right now trying to sort all of this out. We are northbound on State College. We'll be approaching kind of Brea. Will be our next kind of major city. Well, now we just made a turn, but right, and trying to get around that traffic. And that's the thing. I mean, we're going not. I mean, any pursuit is dangerous, but we're not going at like ridiculously high speeds that we've seen. But he is still trying to make those moves to try to get away. Right, and that's
running red lights.
And running red lights, and that's squeezing in the center divide and trying to, get through some of those areas where this guy has, been to try to avoid the law enforcement that are all behind him. But again, we've got, a lot of law enforcement helicopters on this. It looks like CHP's helicopter pulled off, but we've still got the fixed wing, and you've still got Angel that are overhead. Yeah, so they definitely still have on the freeway.
Well, let's talk about ways that, they could possibly stop this car, along surface streets. We talk about pit maneuvers and, to do a pit maneuver.
We're 57 now.
Okay, it looks like they're going to be on the freeway, so, pit maneuver obviously probably out of the question at these highway speeds. But it looks like the Anaheim Police Department really want to get to this person. They are not relinquishing this to the CHP, as we told you. They're keeping this one, and they've been on it since earlier, and whatever never happened, this want of assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. It's just curious because, Mike, you know, you got to think what precipitated this to the extent of this kind of presence of police that they really want to get to this person. Maybe there is someone else in this truck, maybe in the cab of the car, who knows? Maybe there's someone in the passenger seat. Maybe there's more to the story. Obviously, there is that we don't know about. We're trying to get to those details right now, but yeah, they're not giving this up.
They're not, and I will say, as far as you know, what can they do to stop it? It really depends on the agency and what the information that they have is. Clearly, they have much more information than we do. I will say that Orange County is generally more aggressive with things like pit maneuvers and spikes. So I think that we did get to some spots where they may have been able to attempt that. So they may have made the command decision to not do that at this point, and that would be because of the want, because of what this guy is wanted for. We talked about this before, but you do these pit maneuvers, and the idea is you spin the car around. First of all, this is a little bit of a top-heavy truck, right? So you run the risk of flipping it, as we are negotiating now back on what freeway? The 91. But you run that risk, and then you also run the risk if you do successfully spin him around. Now he's facing you, right? And if he's got a gun, if that's the weapon that was used,
we don't know that exactly.
Right. Then all of a sudden these officers are right in the line of fire. So they always weigh that. If a pit maneuver is worth it, if that's too dangerous for the officers, what's the previous behavior of this guy? Those are all things they take into consideration. And knowing Orange County law enforcement the way I do, and just kind of the way they handle pursuits, I think that if they wanted to do the pit maneuver, we would see them a lot closer to his bumper. We would see them itching for that opportunity when we're on surface streets. And I just don't see that. I do see them kind of holding back a little bit. They're certainly there. They're certainly chasing him as we exit the freeway. Again on State College. We're right back onto State College again. We're just going in circles. There's a unit right there, which again, if they wanted to try to do a spike strip, I mean, we've been on State College so many times, they probably could have set that up. But again, that is another situation where an officer has to be in front of the suspect. And that's just something they may not be willing to kind of negotiate with right now. You see that unit there that is hot on his tail. There's a bunch of them down there. They're all right behind him. Wrong side of the road now. Wow. Okay, so this is kind of the first bit of dangerous driving we've seen as he is still on the wrong side of the road trying to get around that traffic. That is going to slow law enforcement down a little bit. They don't like that, although he is, still kind of right there as you go through that intersection. But that makes them nervous, right? I mean, going on the wrong side of the road like that is certainly very dangerous.
And between all those cars and drivers who have no idea what's happening behind them, and then all of a sudden, can you imagine just a car flying behind you and the police officers following? If they were to follow that closely, I mean, you just never know what could happen. And that's the legal nature of police pursuits too. We know that the LA County Sheriff's Department, they backed out of doing pursuits for many years because of that reason. And it was just started again under Sheriff Alex Villanueva because of those legal ramifications.
Right, exactly. And Suze, I want to play back. We missed a spike strip. I didn't catch it, that unit, but that unit that was sitting on the side of the shoulder there at State College did attempt to spike. Jackie's got it for us right there. So watch as he comes off the freeway. Oh, there it is. See it? Right there, and then they pull it out. So he missed it, but they had it on the off-ramp, and there's that unit that was setting it up. So that was a good thought, and I wondered, remember, because we were saying he keeps getting on and off at State College. So, okay, so spike strips.
So they noticed the pattern, and that's what they need to do spike strips. They noticed that pattern that he was getting off the freeway, and that was the exit where he was doing it. And so that's why you saw the officer there putting out those spike strips and then pulling them back, but it looks like they did miss. But, like Mike was saying, it's difficult to do. It's not easy to put those spike strips out either. Again, you have to find a pattern of where this person is traveling, first of all, which is difficult to do in and of itself because you almost have to, plan for that ahead of time and almost predict where they're going to end up. So really, that is such a skill that they have that they can even attempt to do something like that. But it looks like they did miss.
Yeah, and it's only, it's only 8:30, and they set that off up on the off ramp of a freeway. I mean, you got to negotiate with all the other drivers that are on the road that no one else is going to run over that spike and that he's going to go the right way. And spike strips are such a difficult thing for law enforcement to do sometimes because, especially when he's coming off of, when he's coming off the freeway like that, he's going at a slower speed and can see it.
Sure, and they have to not be visible to them, right? And say, ooh, there's an officer there.
But in this situation, the guy saw it and was able to maneuver around it to not, hit it. As we are on Chapman here. And we are now going, we're going to be coming into the city of Fullerton right now. We are westbound on Chapman in the city of Fullerton.
If you're just joining us here on KCAL News at 8, this is breaking news. The Anaheim PD chasing a Chevy Silverado. The want tonight, assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. The details are unclear as to exactly what happened and what the circumstances are of that want. But we do know that this person has had a pattern of where they've been traveling tonight. They have stayed in the Anaheim, Fullerton, this area, State College Boulevard, this area, northern Orange County for a very long time now, getting onto the 91 freeway multiple times and then getting off on surface streets in the city of Anaheim and in Fullerton in North Orange County multiple times.
Police officers at
maybe this
CHP
person is
wait
very
for that
familiar
truck to
with
get
this
off the
area.
freeway.
Oftentimes we do see pursuit suspects staying in the areas that they are familiar with because
couple
they
minutes
know
later, the driver
back
avoided a
streets,
spike
valleys,
strip.
how to get
The
to where,
CHP
shortcuts
officers
and things
set up
like
a stop
that.
stick.
And
It
just
didn't
relatively
work.
more
Getting off the
comfortable,
freeway,
just
on and
knowing
off
the
off the
streets,
freeway,
whereas in another area where they don't know if they got off surface streets, they don't know if they're going to run into a dead end or not, which oftentimes happens, and that's when the police catch up to them. But the Anaheim Police Department, they have been chasing this person for quite some time now. The want, we're still getting some information about it. We're still trying to get some details, but it is a very wide left turn there and almost hitting that car there. So there have been some close calls on surface streets. And Mike, we just wonder, why are they traveling in this pattern?
Yeah.
And why not get away?
It's got to be something. I mean, who knows what these guys are thinking, but you know, I would almost venture that it's like he's familiar-ish with the area. You know, one of these Orange County law enforcement agencies, we believe it's Anaheim PD, started the chase. He has kind of been staying in and around Anaheim, so he must be familiar enough, I mean, to want to stay in this area. We've seen chases all the time that go where we clearly know they don't know where they're at, and then they start making rash decisions, they pull into cul-de-sacs, they, you know, all of those things. So this guy may just want to be where he knows where he's going, so that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't throw him off any further, which is, you know, makes him feel more comfortable, but to law enforcement, that gives them the advantage of being able to try to set up some spike strips. And okay, so Susie, I'm looking at some video. Rick Brown, our executive producer, caught this. When he was at State College, and I don't know what the cross here is, right in front of the Motel 6, as we negotiate another turn in their life, he threw something out the window. So he gets in the left-hand turn pocket, and something green comes out the window. Green, and there's another white object that comes out the window. I know we don't have it just yet, Jackie. We're going to work on cutting that right now. And I'll see if I can cut it too here and show it to you. But hard to tell what it was. He throws it out, and then he doesn't stay in that turn pocket.
Wrong side of the road. Just a couple minutes later, the officer sets up a spike strip. Now, he missed the mark, ran over the edge of the stop stick. Now, crossing underneath the freeway, very dangerous, close call. That could cost them havoc if he ends up entering or crashing into somebody. They have to run him off the road now. The police officers will do their best to do a pit maneuver, bring this to an end.
We're going, you know, 50 miles an hour here, wrong way on State College.
The driver now eventually almost sideswiped the truck. Now the driver eventually
in chase, a little
trying to get away and picked up speeds at 40 miles an hour. That didn't work. The driver eventually trying to do a pit maneuver, but it didn't work. We'll
Get
wait
the
for the
QuickBooks mobile
advertisement to
app.
go by.
Simply snap photos of receipts, tap, and sort transactions automatically. Categorize business and personal transactions with a swipe.
Take that. Ooh.
Now the driver eventually
So close. That
trying to do a pit maneuver. No, the officers are trying to do a pit maneuver for the first time.
Sedans that we often see.
Now it didn't work. They'll try again. Now almost close calls, almost crashing into innocent commuters who are trying to get home from work. Trying to go home from work.
A little bit more aggressive than what we see here in LA. You know, oftentimes when we see them in LA, you know, they'll definitely take some precautions, especially through an intersection like that, because the officers obviously. They're going to go for another one.
Yeah, they're going to try for another one. Real quick, Marvin in my ears in the helicopter tonight. We're approaching the Disneyland TFR. I want to ask Marvin and our pilot Chris, who are doing a great job tonight,
runs over a red
if we can try to climb to get on top of it. For anyone who knows what that is, that puts us up at about 3,000 feet to get on top of the Disneyland TFR. So we'll see if they can work with SoCal approach to do that as we kind of look at this. Otherwise, we're looking at it from quite a distance here. Trapped by the stoplight here at State College and Lincoln. You see those Anaheim PD officers opening the door with their guns drawn, trying to look at that.
Of that, and now they're going to have to run him off the road. The driver eventually tries to tries to get away from police, but
he keeps on
cruiser
going.
crossed into a fence.
Wow.
They try to run him off the road. It didn't work.
Action
He
taken by
keeps
the
going
Anaheim
at 30,
Police
40,
Department
50 miles an
tonight, something
hour.
I've never
With speed
seen
speeds
live
at 35 miles an hour.
They actually
The
pushed
pit
and
maneuver
ran the
is
car
required.
up to the
Speeding
sidewalk.
up now at 50
It
miles
started
an hour.
as what it looked like
Who
was
did
going
that?
to be a pit maneuver.
Yeah. A pit maneuver, and I thought they were maybe just going to try to box him in. And I don't know if he started, the suspect started to try to drive a little bit, and that's what, caused this guy to say, no thanks, I'm going to keep going, and then they pushed him. But now we've got some damage to the side of the truck here. You hope in these situations that the truck eventually will start to give out, and maybe they pop the tire doing that or something that will bring this chase to an end a little bit, faster here as we are continuing southbound here. We're just kind of paralleling the 57 freeway there, southbound State College. And again, Sky Cal's going to be looking at this from a distance here because we are just outside of the flight restriction for Disneyland. We are not allowed to fly 3 miles around or 3,000 feet above Disneyland. We have to stay outside of that perimeter. It's just a long-standing, it's called TFR, but really permanent. On the right side of the screen here, we're going to show you the replay from that pit maneuver. The first one where they just kind of kissed the bumper really close there. Susie, I want you to see on the right side of the screen, the top right side of the screen, the speedometer from Sky Cal. They tried that pit maneuver at almost 50 miles an hour.
On surface streets.
On surface streets. Here's where they start pushing him, and look at that. They try to box him in a little bit. The guy is driving, so he hits the gas, and that's what causes the officer to push him. Almost gets him pinned in against that electrical box there, but then he keeps going.
38 miles an hour. Now with
incredible,
Yeah. And Marvin in the chopper showing me it looks like he's starting to lose tires. So that is what I was hoping for when they kind of scooted him like that. Hopefully that contains. It looks like there may be a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the truck there.
Police officers are going to continue to pursue that suspect until they do a pit maneuver when it's the right time.
So yeah, as he's pushing through
and bring it to an end.
That's what we hope for is that the car starts to become disabled
trying to get around those cars.
Hits anybody. But again, 50 miles an hour on a pit.
They need to bring this to an end. Trying to do a pit maneuver.
See, now the guy's on scene. This is what happens. You do one, and then they're on you. So watch every time that officer tries to get up to his left side, the guy catches on and veers from the left, kind of preventing that officer from effectuating that pit maneuver.
I don't want to give this guy any kind of praise, of course, but the way that they're driving, it almost leads me to believe that they've been through this before. Like they know what they're doing. Like, pressing on the gas as a police vehicle is pushing your car sideways and just, accelerating on the gas. And then, knowing that if you keep accelerating outside of a pit, then, out of a pit, then that you'll keep going. And it's just incredible to see this happening right now. The Anaheim Police Department using many
techniques.
Wow, techniques tonight, from spike strips off the freeway to pit maneuvers off the freeway on surface streets.
Yeah, I mean, for reference point, and here we go again. Look, 50 miles an hour again. And for reference point, people watching
the driver keeps on pressing the gas pedal
generally, the comfortable speed
to get away from police. That didn't
is
work.
about 30 to 35 miles an hour. That's where they're comfortable doing it without the car flipping over and doing all of that. So 50 miles an hour is a lot. Susie, I also have another new piece of information. CHP is giving out just geographical updates to their officers. They're not involved in this, but they're letting their officers keep briefed on it, especially with the amount of times we've been on the freeway. They are reporting tonight that he is armed. So that is a big play.
Then they do a pit maneuver one more time
with a deadly weapon against the big rig. We don't know what that means. We don't know exactly how that alleged assault took place, what the weapon was that was used. But CHP is now letting their officers know tonight that they do believe that he is armed. We certainly again don't know how they know that or exactly what he may be armed with.
Which makes movements like this, when they get so close like this to do an attempt at pit maneuver.
Pressing on the gas pedal.
We were talking about earlier, like how them having a weapon could make all the difference attempting a pit maneuver or not, because should that car turn around and that person could be using a weapon on the officers that are facing them now. The Anaheim Police Department really getting aggressive with this person tonight, wanting to bring this to an end. They have used multiple techniques, as we've seen live here on KCAL News today, including yet what we believe is another pit maneuver by this lead car here. And we've seen multiple attempts so far, and none of them have stopped them so far. Even a push. Even them using a push with their actual vehicle to do that. My goodness, we thought that they might get trapped by that, but nope. They kept on going.
And Susie, we're coming around the south side of the TFR, so Sky Cal's going to be able to get a better look on this. We've also heard from the CHP.
They try to do a pit maneuver
Man,
on
they
the
really
side.
I know. That would I mean, I understand why they want to bring this to an end, but there were so many cars right there, that would have been dangerous.
A good time to do a pit maneuver, almost getting T-boned by a car. Now, eventually trying to get away from police.
I mean, of course, they want to get to this person, but they're also trying to save themselves in a situation like this and make sure that they're protected too.
And innocent drivers and those other motorists.
What a surprise.
Susie, we also know CHP is ready to assist. They will have canines ready. Should this guy get out and try to run, CHP and the other units, I'm sure Anaheim's got canines involved in this as well. They're ready to release dogs and have this guy, you know, try to make a run for it from the dogs if that is what the situation might be. Basically, the freeway that we are going to be approaching here, this is going to be the 22. So we're at the city drive. We just passed the outlets at Orange.
Turn left.
Yeah, and now he's going to come towards us. So I think he's going to be making an eastbound turn on Memory Lane.
Now the police have to do a pit maneuver to bring it to an end. The driver eventually
crashing into the wall. Hopefully that stops this car. My goodness.
He's still going to keep going.
Did a pit maneuver on that white truck.
So hopefully this will be the end of it.
What happens when shots are fired and bringing it to the end.
This is Memory Lane.
The truck keeps on revving and trying to keep on getting away from the police. But it came to an end. They chased that suspect for about
and remember,
45
this person,
minutes.
as far as we know, is armed.
They have
the one
they have it out.
with the deadly weapon on a big rig. Again, the details, we don't know exactly what happened. Okay, shots fired. Okay, so again, this person is armed. We don't know if those shots came from the person or Anaheim Police Department, but obviously they got up to this person pretty fast, Mike. We often see, you know, the CHP, especially if they know that they are armed, they're going to have that body shield first before they're even approaching that car. But as you see, the Anaheim Police Department, they just went right up to this car. It's unclear if the shots were fired from the police officers there on the ground, or it came from the person who we do believe the driver of this car is armed. Unclear if there is another person in this car tonight. We don't know if there is anyone else, but as far as we know, this person wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. Coming to an end tonight on Memory Lane and the City Drive in the city of Orange, and the Anaheim Police Department chasing this person for a good part of about 45 minutes to an hour or so. And we're going to show you some of the things that happened earlier, right before this situation came to an end here on the Memory Lane that we're talking about. See that? Yep, crashed right into the wall there as that officer did the pit maneuver, and again crashes into the other wall, and then finally trapped. And still accelerating, as Mike mentioned and was noticing, and all that smoke coming out of the car. And then we heard that shots.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn how to talk to AI. To the people over 40 who don't know how to use AI.
Were fired. Unclear tonight whether it was by Anaheim Police Department.
I do believe at this point it was by law enforcement, and I'll tell you why, Suze. So you noticed that the gas was going and going and going and going and going, and that's what we were seeing all the smoke from. And then as soon as we heard the shots fired, that stopped. Right, and there has been no apparent movement from the person in the truck. I do want to do just a little bit of housekeeping with our control room here really quick. They're going to make an approach on this car, and if that person
about a few minutes ago, the driver
tries
to get away from police.
And I just want to make sure that we don't show that at all. So, and again, you're looking at a far-off shot here. We are just outside the Disneyland TFR, the flight restrictions for Disneyland, so that's why we're not closer. So this is now going to turn into a massive investigation. This road, Memory Lane, if you're in this area, and again, this is Memory Lane. The next major is going to be Bristol. This area is going to be closed for hours now that police are going to have to potentially investigate a shooting that occurred along with this. The smoke from the front of the truck has subsided. I assume that happened when he slammed into both of those, kind of walls, and then we saw a bunch of smoke from the rear end, which was when, he was still trying to gun it and hit the gas. Who knows, Susie, he may have also fired shots as a result of this.
But you could tell by their stance, too, after it happened, right after those shots were fired. We got the call for these shots fired. You can tell by the officer's stance that they weren't in that stance anymore of approaching the car as they were so carefully before.
Yeah, and I'm even going to play it back. I'll play it back on my computer. We obviously don't want to show the moment he gets shot, or if he got shot, but, we're going to be careful with that. But you did notice that some of those officers began crouching kind of behind the police cars, which is obviously, usual and not surprising if shots are being fired. And again, as to your point, Susie, we do believe that police fired shots, but we don't know if it's because, did he fire shots at them? Did he just point it at them? We don't know kind of the circumstances surrounding that. And I'm just trying to watch this. Yeah, so there's an officer, I can see where he fired the shots. There's an officer that came right up against the center divide and fired shots right into the driver's side window. So that is when that occurred. And again, they're going to give... Oh, he's out. Look at that. Out of the passenger side. Somebody is. I don't know if there were two people in that truck, but somebody just climbed out of the passenger side car of the driver of the truck there.
So it's unclear if there was a passenger in the car. We don't know if that's the driver, but as far as we know that shots were fired. We do believe by the Anaheim Police Department at this person. So it could have been a passenger in the car or the driver who maybe wasn't hit. It's unclear right now, but as far as we know, Anaheim Police Department was the one who did the shooting, but it's unclear. It could have been that person shot at them first. It could have been that maybe they pointed their weapon at them and that's what made them shoot in that person's direction. But for whatever reason, that person was armed and they knew that going into this, they knew that this was an assault with a deadly weapon on a big rig. The circumstances, again, we're trying to clear that up, but we do know, as far as we know, that this person had a weapon during this entire chase, which surprised us a lot.
It did.
Because of how aggressive they were being.
Right, and we do know, we are hearing now that there were two people in there.
Okay.
So there is a driver and a passenger. We did see the passenger. We saw somebody get out of the passenger side. I do believe that is a passenger. So right now the police, they're getting that person secured. What they're going to continue to do, right now it's unclear, and you know what, I can check and see if the fire department's responding. I assume they are, but what they'll do is they'll give commands. Yeah. Right, they'll give commands. Sure. They'll tell the person to come out, and then they'll do that until that they're comfortable. If this person is unable to get out on their own, if they were wounded or severely wounded by the gunfire, at some point they will make a decision to go up and just approach that car, but they're definitely going to try and make commands first to get that person to come out before they approach it. And you do see the canines down there. I think I saw a shield by somebody at one point.
Okay, it looks like they are stacked up behind each other.
Yeah, and so you got the set of officers on the right side. You see the flashlight pointing at it, and then you got another set on the left side. So at some point they will try to make an approach and try to see if they'll pull this person out or see kind of what the status of the individual is in the driver's side. If he is unable to get out on his own, if he's communicating and yelling back at them, it's hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, we were wondering if they were still armed after we had heard that we saw some items or objects being thrown out the window, a green and a white object. We thought maybe those might be the weapons they were throwing out the window since they were wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. But it looks like they were armed, still at the end of this chase, and that's probably what may have precipitated the shooting at the end. So right now, officers from the Anaheim Police Department look like they were making a plan there at the back of the squad car there, and it looks like they're getting ready to make an approach to this car that was stopped by really...
Breaking news is in Orange County, where a dangerous pursuit led to multiple crashes and ended with a police shooting. News Chopper 4 flew overhead as that pickup truck weaved through traffic at high speeds, blowing off traffic signals and traveling on the wrong side of the road. NBC4's Tracy Leong is live in Santa Ana now, where it ended.
Chopper 4 captured the police pursuit that started around 7:45 tonight. You can see at least 8 police cars chasing the truck through surface streets and on the freeway all over Orange County. Officers attempted several pit maneuvers on surface streets to stop the driver, who ran through stoplights and blew past police. The final successful pit stop was in Santa Ana, where the driver crashed into a street median on Memory Lane near the City Drive around 8:45. You see officers get out with their guns drawn. Multiple shots were fired by police at the truck. The driver was shot and killed by police. Here's how witnesses described what they heard.
11 breaking news in Santa Ana, where a high-speed pursuit ends in a deadly police shooting. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman.
And I'm Sheriff Calvin. The dangerous driver led police across Orange County desperate to outrun officers.
Gil Davis is live overhead at Sky 5 with how it all ended. Gil.
Mike and Sherry, you see the termination point here. This is on the bridge over the Santa Ana riverbed. I can tell you this is off between Bristol Street and the City Drive. Now, it was around 8 o'clock when this this pursuit started, but it ended here in that violent pit maneuver and an officer-involved shooting with the Anaheim police. Let's go to some videos that we shot as this pursuit was coming to an end. The pursuit, like I said, started in Anaheim. There was a shooting scene in Anaheim on Brooker Street, the 300 block of Brooker Street. You can see in the video here the pit maneuver happening on the bridge, the truck almost going off the side of the bridge itself, and it ended up in the center divider. That's when the officer-involved shooting happened once that vehicle came to a stop. Now we understand that the driver of the vehicle was shot dead and was pronounced dead at the scene here. A passenger inside the truck was taken into custody, but before that happened, it was a very dangerous pursuit that went up and down the 91 freeway, ended up on surface streets in Fullerton, Placentia, and Anaheim, and then came down all the way down State College from the 91 freeway, ending here in that pit maneuver and that officer-involved shooting. So now this bridge between the City Drive and Bristol Street will remain closed through the night as investigators investigate this deadly officer-involved shooting. That's the latest overhead up in Sky 5. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Gil, thank you.
Is your child's education?
Anaheim police in hot pursuit of a white pickup. The initial call, assault with a deadly weapon. Reporter Chris Christie overhead in Air 7 calling it all.
Eastbound Memory Lane. Here comes another pit maneuver attempted. There he goes. Spinning out of control into the wall. The vehicle making the left swerve and continuing on now into the other wall. Right into the center divider there. And here come all of those black and whites ready to execute a felony stop as the vehicle is now smoking. Lots of smoke coming from underneath the hood. The vehicle appears to be disabled. They're shooting. They're shooting.
It began with a report of a person shot in the stomach at the Kona Motel on Brookhurst Street in Anaheim. Responding units spotting a fleeing white pickup, and the chase was on.
A shooting suspect refusing to pull over. Here comes a black and white along the right rear, trying to spin the truck out of control. A failed pit maneuver attempt there.
The fleeing driver eventually getting trapped in busy traffic at a red light.
Trying to squeeze through here. Lots of traffic at this red light. We're at Lincoln Avenue, southbound State College Boulevard.
The police has a chance.
That white pickup truck right there just got rammed by that unit, that SUV. And look at that SUV slamming right into the driver's side, trying to push him onto the curb, right in between those vehicles, and he keeps on going. Now continuing southbound on State College Boulevard.
CHP and Anaheim police units working in tandem to try to bring this dangerous pursuit to an end. Moments later, on a deserted stretch of road, they get their chance.
Here comes another pit maneuver attempted. There he goes, spinning out of control into the wall. The vehicle making the left swerve and continuing on now into the other wall, right into the center divider there.
And then, shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots have been fired at the driver's seat of that pickup truck. Multiple shots fired.
They had their weapons drawn at this point. The driver,
that front windshield appears to be shattered. It's hard to tell from this distance, but it looks like those bullets have gone right through the front windshield. Looks like that passenger side door is open and somebody has just exited the vehicle on the passenger side. Now with their hands up, walking backwards in the direction of those officers.
The passenger quickly handcuffed and arrested. A short time later, officers moving in and removing the driver, performing CPR. That driver could not be saved. New ground video just in showing the aftermath of all the violence. Bullet holes clearly visible in the driver's side door and...
Look at this police pursuit presence. The police pursuit only thing with this, seen as a dash cam in the store. Seen this, waiting for that, waiting to follow that truck. Only eventually tries to get away from police. Now, the police with lights and sirens on. The driver. Police with lights and sirens on. Following that suspect. Sirens on. Turning right. And it's coming. And the pit maneuver brought it to a halt. By a pit maneuver by that cop car. And into a street median. Now the bullet holes of that truck, headlights appears to be on still. Now the vehicle had been damaged. Ambulances and fire trucks are trying to take the suspect into a hospital. Now with Jews and anything, it's a crime scene. The police officers doing it by the grease crew. Let's listen.
This all starting in Anaheim around 7:45 last night. That's when police got a call of a man down in the parking lot of a motel. When they arrived, that man managed to describe the suspects and tell the police that they were in that white Chevy pickup. Police spotted it, tried pulling the driver over. He didn't want to stop. And again, the pursuit was on through the streets and freeways of Orange County all the way to the county line with LA and then right back into the OC. Pit maneuver after pit maneuver, causing the driver to lose control for just a few seconds, but he kept on going, driving the wrong way at times, sideswiping innocent drivers. The pursuit lasted about 45 minutes, ending here in Santa Ana with another pit maneuver. This caused the driver of the pickup truck to crash into a wall and then go across the lanes and crash right into the center divider, where he kept revving the engine in what appeared to be yet another attempt to get away from police. You saw all that white smoke there. What happened next? Well, it's all part of the police investigation. We don't know, but it did lead to at least one, if not more, police officers from the Anaheim Police Department opening fire, killing the suspect, who was the driver of the pickup truck. Out of the passenger side, another man came out. He wasn't hurt. He was detained for questioning for hours, but eventually released. He is not a suspect in the shooting. And take a look, because back at that motel in Anaheim, well, Anaheim police detectives continued their investigation there. They don't know or didn't know what the connection was between the shooting victim and the shooter, if any at all. That victim rushed to the hospital.
I tried to pull it over. The driver, as you saw, did not yield and led officers on a very high-speed and dangerous pursuit.
The chase involving officers from Anaheim PD and the CHP went onto the 91 freeway and back onto city streets through Anaheim, Buena Park, and Santa Ana. There were several attempts along the way to stop the driver using a spike strip and pit maneuvers. One officer even pushed the truck onto the sidewalk, but the suspect squeezed through traffic and kept going. Around 8:30 p.m., a final pit maneuver in Santa Ana on West Memory Lane near Bristol Street was a success. But the suspect, authorities say, wasn't giving up, accelerating into a wall. The suspect was shot. His passenger, a man in his 30s, was uninjured.
Dramatic body cam video just released of Anaheim police opening fire on a driver at the end of a wild pursuit. It happened on April 16th. Chris Christie and Air 7 overhead that night as it was all
trying to get away
unfolding.
from police. Still, it didn't work. The pit maneuver.
Here comes a black and white along the right rear, trying to spin the truck out of control.
Unsuccessful.
A failed pit maneuver attempt there.
Unsuccessful.
It all began a short time earlier with reports of shots fired at the Kono Motel. Responding officers finding a shooting victim right out front.
I need an ambulance now, bro. What's that? Did he leave? Is he still here? No, he left.
Police quickly spotting a fleeing pickup truck exiting the Kono Motel. That driver refusing to stop, and the pursuit was on. Police now releasing night vision video from a law enforcement chopper tracking that pursuit. At one point, the fleeing driver gets trapped by traffic, and pursuing officers try to end it right there.
They tried to push them to the side of the street. That didn't work. We're southbound State College through Lincoln.
But that push onto the curb was successful in damaging the truck's tires, and soon it was throwing sparks. And a short time later, a pit maneuver brings the pursuit to an end.
There's a pull-off memory drive over the riverbed. The car doesn't quite immobilized yet.
Hitting a curb, they try to box that suspect in. But
they have the back end of the pickup truck stopped, so they're 960 X-ray kind of, but the guy's on the gas trying to get away.
When the driver, believed to be armed, refused to exit the truck, officers opened fire, and you could see all the bullets shooting through the truck's windshield. Here's another view from an officer's body cam.
They have their weapons drawn to stop that suspect. It says stop. I have seen no officer. Now, what happened next? Part of the police investigation. It was to happen on April 16th, almost 3 months ago. Now, The driver
Moments later, the truck's passenger side door opens. Chris Christie in Air 7 calling it.
Looks like that passenger side door is open and somebody has just exited the vehicle on the passenger side. Now with their hands up, walking backwards in the direction of those officers.
Despite the hail of bullets, that passenger was not injured. A short time later, officers moving in, removing the driver and performing CPR. He could not be saved. He's been identified as 51-year-old Danny